The only real way many people can describe Cirque du Soleil is magical. What the audience sees is the wonder, the awe, and the amazement of Cirque. But what they don't see is the blood, sweat, and tears that go into each and every show. That, for the most part, is a secret. Because once the curtain is pulled back and we're able to see the steel wires, one would assume that the magic would vanish. This is why Cirque du Soleil is different. They don't rely on fancy tricks. They rely on captivating and moving the audience to believe anything can happen.
I was a young girl. I can't remember how old I was, maybe 11 or 12 years old, where I saw Allegria in Montreal. I had absolutely no expectations, had no idea what I was getting myself into. I mean, I heard of Cirque du Soleil at the time, but didn't know what to expect. And I just went in, and I remember just being like my jaw dropped to the floor and just be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was possible. How do you do that? But that defies the rules of gravity. So there was a lot of those kinds of moments for me. And again, it was really about losing myself into that dream-like fantasy world. And I think we all look for that a little bit in our entertainment, to kind of forget the real world and be transported somewhere else.
And looking for a unique entertainment experience is exactly what inspired Guy Laliberté to make his impossible dreams a reality. In 1984, Quebec City was celebrating the 450th anniversary of Canada's discovery by Jacques Cartier. Organizers needed a show that would allow for everyone across the province to take part in the festivities. Guy had an idea, which was then proposed and approved, a show called Cirque du Soleil, or Circus of the Sun. In 1984, a total of 73 people worked for Cirque du Soleil. Today, the company hires close to 4,000 employees worldwide, including 1,300 artists. From the success of the first show, Guy and his team made their dream of creating a Quebec circus and taking the troupe around the world come true. Since the first show, there have been a total of 30 Cirque shows worldwide, 18 of which are still playing. This includes O, Ka, Lanuba, and Varekai.
Varekai is a word that means wherever, and it tells the story of what happens to Icarus after he loses his wings. Cirque du Soleil's interpretation, of course. So it's really beautiful, it's extremely theatrical. You'll get lost in the dream and the story, escape reality for 2 hours and a half, and watch real people do unreal things. We're very much an amalgamation of all these elements, which is amazing acrobatics, theater, live music, costumes.
Basically, the costumes and the makeup create the character, and they help the artists embody whatever the director wants to see on stage and the picture that the director wants to create. So they're an extension of the character, of the personality, really.
Character, a show within a show itself, where a performer creates and develops a whole new person.
It's quite an experience because you do all of that work and all of that rehearsal for that particular moment, and you know, it's never exactly like you want, but the great thing about this show is you've got so many shows that you can build the number layer by layer, so you don't think of one show is just one show. It's part of a body of work, and it represents everything you've done before, during and after.
The Russian swings are a prominent act in Cirque du Soleil's repertoire, and the grand finale for Varekai. This is the amazement, the awe Cirque creates to differentiate itself from today's almost disconnected world of entertainment.
Well, I think you have so much technology and media in the world today that's very two-dimensional. Like, you can watch TV, you can watch a movie, you can download anything and watch it on a screen. What Cirque does that is different is it goes out there and it grabs the audience and it brings the audience with them for every show that they create. And that, I think, is something that will never grow old. People, you can't get the same kind of stimulation by watching a movie. It's real, it's there, there's real people doing things they're risking their lives. There's a whole company behind the creation and the structure of things. And so when something is made by hand and performed by real people in front of you, it touches you much deeper than it does if you're just watching it on TV screen, because they could fall right in front of you, or they could do something amazing right in front of you, and you're there to witness that. So you're part of the whole story to start with.
I think the most important thing is that any show, and especially our show, we try to completely disarm people and take them away from normal life. It just completely derails where people are in their world, and then all of a sudden they dream, they think of things that they couldn't think of before, and there's just a feeling of, wow, I went somewhere else. And I think that's what any good art tries to do. It gives you, wow, some experience that transports you where you don't normally go in an everyday life.
But I think a lot of it has to do with the people. You know, we put those emotions out there, but depending on what you bring in, what periods of your life you're going through, will evoke a different type of emotion in people. So that's what's really interesting to see, is that everyone will take home something different from the show. Everyone will feel something different at certain moments, and that's what's beautiful about it. It's not a unique experience and just once. It can touch a million people in a million different ways.
I like to be surprised by the company. They always throw out things that I don't expect, so it's kind of nice just to not to predict what they're going to do or what they're going to create, but just to kind of sit back and be surprised by what they come up with. There's lots of collaborations that they have going on at the moment, so in very interesting areas, and they really move with the times and go with what people are looking for, but what also they're not expecting.
And when we create shows, we do it from the heart. We think of, how are we going to touch people? We want to reach out and make them feel something, feel an emotion, and I think that's the attachment that people have to Cirque du Soleil, is when they come, they can feel happy, sad, lonely, and go through this roller coaster of emotion, and that's what keeps them attached and love Cirque du Soleil so much. So I think it's that, and of course, you know, all the beauty that you see on stage, things that are just remarkable and out of this world that no other company comes close to. You know, we're all looking for something, some leisure, some entertainment to incorporate in our lives. I think Cirque du Soleil will continue at its root doing what it does best, but I think at the same time, you know, we might branch out into something else and surprise people and really start diversifying and seeing what other areas we can reach out to people.
I think everything's always evolving, you know, and Cirque evolves, theatre evolves and transforms, and art will always emerge. If you do something that you really believe in and you continue to do it, don't worry, the work will find you. So I think if you do anything sincerely and honestly and work hard at it, you'll always find a place to present it.
I think they'll always find a way to be involved in the world in whatever area it is. So I think what they do is really good for lots of communities around the world. They have their hands in lots of different areas that are very, very beneficial to society around the world. So I think that they're too much on the pulse to disappear like that. They'll be around for a long while.
Vieni!